G'day ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Draw with Jazza. I'm Jazza and this is a short video tutorial on using depth of field in your animations. Now, it's more aimed at beginners and people who haven't used this technique before as a bit of an introduction, and those who have used it before might find a new approach or something interesting observed in it. Otherwise, again, it's aimed at a quite low level. So this is a very simple scene that I've set up and it's got three parts. We've got a background, which is just some random image I found off Google just to serve as a background. Then I have a midground image with this character who's aiming a gun at this next layer, which is the foreground character. Now, depth of field is a pretty useful thing to use, especially in a narrative sort of format, and it also creates a lot of visual interest and helps show people where to put their attention. That's why it's so useful in a narrative sort of setup. So in a scene like this, what are we to focus on? Are we to focus on the horizon? Probably not. Or this character about to shoot, or this character who knows what's coming. Now, that's where we as animators and as storytellers need to use techniques like depth of field, like parallaxing, to communicate to the viewer what they're actually meant to be paying attention to. So when I say depth of field, what I'm actually talking about is the depth of the focus. It's a term used mostly for photography where, using the lens and all that stuff to focus on various aspects of the photo that they're taking. And so in animation or any other sort of filming or visual art setup, depth of field can be used in the same way to focus and blur certain things to show people what to pay attention to. So if I wanted people to pay attention to this guy at the front, I would select this guy in the background and I would go here into the filters panel and add a blur. And I'm going to turn the quality up to high and make it a blur of say 3. Okay, so that's quite a simple blur. Maybe make it 4. And then the background, because it's further back and we're focused on the front, is going to be blurred even more than this character. So this character has a blur value on quality of high of 4. So I'm going to select the background, add a blur, and add a quality of 6. Actually, let's make that 8. And I'm actually going to make the background a bit bigger. So there you go. And we can see already by creating that depth of field focus, I've got the attention of the viewer focusing quite clearly with very minimal effort on this character at the front. Now, like I said, when you're focusing on something like this character in the foreground, then we have this character in the background. The further away you get from the point of focus, or the further in front of the point of focus, the more blurred it becomes. So if something is way off in the distance, over here, it's going to be quite blurred. Something in the midground might be less blurred. So for example, if I wanted this character larger and right behind him, the blur value might be 3. And we're still showing that the focus is meant to be on the character in the front, but it's also shared a little bit by this character. Anyways, I'm going to go back to where he was, a bit further back with a little more blur. And I'm going to show how we might transition between focuses. And I'm going to mix this with a technique I did in another video tutorial from a while back called parallaxing, right? Which is where you move things at different rates. So I'm going to start with this central character in the middle, with this gun character slightly hidden. I want him to be a little hard to see, and I want the gun to be hidden so we don't actually know what's happening, okay? So here we go. We've got all those frames set up. Got the 3 layers, and I'm going to pull out here to frame 140 and hit F6. Okay, and in Adobe Flash that creates a duplicate keyframe. And over here on the frame 140, I'm going to have pulled this character quite a bit to the front, this character to the side a bit, and then move the background very slightly to the left. Now that just creates a bit of a parallax effect where the front moves the most, the middle moves a medium amount. You can see if I set the onion skin, the middle moves a medium sort of amount, and the background moves very minimally. So now that I've set that up, I'm going to change the point of focus from this character to the character in the back. And I'm going to do that by swapping the values. I'm going to select this character in the back and bring the blur to 0. And I'm going to select the front character, add a blur, high quality. And because he is so close to the camera, he's actually going to be blurred more than the character in the background was. So I'm going to give it a blur value of 10. Okay, so that's quite a big shift. Okay, but it's also about finding balance, because if he had the same blur value, which was 4, he's quite in focus here. Even though he's slightly out of focus, compared to what we want to look at, this character back here, it's still a bit distracting. And we also need to keep in mind that because this character is so close to the camera, he's going to have quite a bit of a blur on him. So I'm going to give him a blur value of 10, and the background is going to become slightly less blurred. Okay, because the focus is shifting back, but it's also not shifted onto the background, it's shifted onto this character. So the background is going to shift from a focus of a level 8 blur to, let's give it a level 4. Okay, so now between these two sets of frames, I'm just going to add a classic tween, and you'll notice that as they shift, the focus shifts as well. And we get that look that we're going for of that cinematic effect, that panning across and then shifting focus. I'm going to select these frames, I'm going to add an ease, and this is called a custom ease. So if I select these frames and then the properties panel, you'll see on the left I have ease, and I can ease in or out. If I hit this little pencil, I get the option to create a custom ease. And that means if I pull this down here and I pull this up here, it's going to start off slow, build up, go fast, and then slow down very rapidly. That just means that in playing through it, and I'm going to test it by hitting Control Enter, we get that rapid changeover. That means that when we render it, we get that really smooth sort of transition. And we can see how this depth of field technique can really clearly help us to tell a story. And it can be used in lots of different ways. So in this example, it helps communicate drama. It helps reveal something that was once hidden. So we're showing, as we go across, that there is a threat, and it's a looming threat, and we reveal that slowly. Rather than having both of these in the same frame with no blur, it's a bit confusing. We don't get to tell that story effectively. Anyway, so there are lots of different ways you can use depth of field. You can use it in a very aesthetically pleasing way. You can, for example, have a sunset and a flower right close to where the camera would be, and blur the flower and show the sunset, and then swap them over and show the flower and blur the sunset, and it just kind of creates a bit of an aesthetic movement throughout the piece. And there are lots of ways you can use it, but for those of you who haven't used depth of field before, I highly encourage you to use it. And like we did in this tutorial, mix it with other methods of your animation. So mix it with a bit of parallaxing to create an unfolding story and things like that. Anyways, I hope you've enjoyed this short video tutorial on depth of field. It's something that's quite effective and a really useful thing. I use it all the time, especially when there are layers in it, and we're trying to create a sense of space and a sense of drama. Anyways, until next time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me, and I will see you later.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoy my videos. You can download the reference files from this tutorial by clicking the link in the description. And remember to share any art, animation, or game you make on Newgrounds.com. Until next time, see you later.